Greetings! You're watching another episode of the Anhedenia Project. Today, on the project, we're going to cover the newest Evan Jacobs film, Carekiller. Now, this film is about, this guy who is under a caregiver, one of these type CNA type peoples, and he ends up killing his caregiver, and just has him a big old day. And that's pretty much the whole of it. You kind of wonder if he's going to kill again. You kind of have these different things that you feel about it. And I will say that it is quite well acted. Chris Lohman, who did the part of Clifton, who is the killer, acted out the part very well. I thought that it came across very good. It's great having a couple other actors in it. I really do think that Evan Jacobs shines when he has a cast to work with. When it's just him, it can get to be problematic at times, but when he has like a cast around him, I think that that's when the real charm of his films come through. I was quite happy with this film. I have worked in the field for many years, and I will have to say that it does come across as something that could be considered a thing that most people in the field would be afraid of. I've worked in a number of adult homes in my time. I've gone to people's houses that are very similar on this. And the character, I don't know what the character comes across as, because it could be any number of things. The character could be on the spectrum. The character could have a TBI, or traumatic brain injury. The character could could have an intellectual disability. The character could have schizophrenia and be exhibiting a lot of the negative symptoms. A lot of the stuff that you see with Clifton is characteristic of any of those, or a combination of those. The only thing that they say in the storyline is that he is nonverbal. But nonverbal could be anything. It could be a catatonic schizophrenia, or it could be low functioning intellectual disability. Like I say, it could even be a traumatic brain injury. These types of behaviors can be the same over and over again. And a lot of times in those cases, repetition, routine, these things, they promote stability. So having him watch the same thing over and over again, having him eat the same thing over and over again, these are this person's comfort foods, comfort activities. Change is usually not something that is looked at as a great thing. It usually brings anxiety, brings problems. And in some cases, individuals can go off, especially if they perceive something different in the environment. And I know in my time, I've had people who would sit quietly normally, and then next thing you know, you are on the ground. And yes, something like that can go deadly. I've had a couple of occasions which I cannot talk about because of HIPAA. I don't want to identify individuals, but I can say that there have been cases where I've had coworkers whose lives have been in danger. And again, one doesn't always know what's going on in that. The way that Chris played the part, the way that he lined up the DVD cases, the way that he would feel the body parts, the way that he did these things, it was really good. It was really good at characterizing the individual that he's trying to play. As the plotline goes, the only thing that confused me was the ending. Because, again, you've got the caregiver there after he's supposedly eaten these parts off of this guy. Yet this same caregiver is here. Now, is he supposed to be a different caregiver that's taking care of him now? Was all this in Clifton's head? Him killing somebody? Or is this something else? Is he replaying it in his mind? These are things that give me questions. I mean, I've seen a lot of the other things. I mean, him going on this kind of walk outside. I mean, again, that's what he was doing. I like I said, I don't know. Maybe my theory is maybe all of this is in his head. Because in a lot of times when you're working in this, there's a lot, just because somebody is sitting there and appears to be doing nothing does not mean that there's nothing going on in that person's head. That person's head is thinking, and thinking hard. Sometimes extremely complex thoughts. And sometimes having that routine helps stabilize those thoughts, helps bring some form of safety to it. So, to me, I thought it was very well portrayed and is a very well done film. I do hope that it does get a physical release. I think this one is good enough for a physical release of its own. So I would say it definitely deserves it. I look forward to, of course, seeing more films. I feel like as we've gone along, it's always still hit or miss, but when we have films that are like truly like put our mind behind it, I feel like there's always some sort of greatness involved. So I was very happy with this film. And you can watch it too. If you like films where you have some sort of killer, that you like the psychological build-up, if you liked the build-up portion of Halloween, not the new ones, like the original, where you actually kind of feel that person's anger, that person's staring you down, wondering when he's outside, when the girl in the park approaches him and saying, "Hey, I know you," and thinking, oh, he's going to do something to her. You know, those feelings. If you like that kind of suspense, I think that you can enjoy this. Again, you have to be fine with certain things. I mean, yes, the body parts look fake. Yes, what he's eating looks to be meatloaf and not human flesh. But, you know, that's alright. That's expected. I thought the music was pretty good. As always, whenever there's music behind anything, it's usually solid in these films. And overall, I think you could definitely do worse than Carekiller. One more note. These things are usually done off the cuff because I want this to be as close to the experience as possible. I really want these to reflect my first thoughts on these films. And I will admit, I didn't read anything about it. I just decided I was going to watch it and see what I think. And my expectations were the opposite way around. I thought it was like a CNA or something that was kind of like killing their patients. Because you think about that. That would be one of the perfect crimes. I mean, what if you're like a hospice worker? Those people are going to die anyway. But you have a murderous intent. You know, you work with them for a few days and then they pass. But you expect them to pass. You just take them a little bit earlier than they're supposed to pass. That sort of thing. That was what I was thinking this was going to be. So it kind of hit me a little bit. It took me off guard a little bit. Not in a bad way necessarily, but it is one thing that I feel like is great. It definitely is something that, if you have worked in these settings, it definitely is something that you could look at and say, this is something I have thought about happening to me at one part or another. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and of course, sign on to Anhedenia Filmz on Vimeo. $2 a month gets you all of his films, and he's got tons of them. You should check it out. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.